Kingdom has always been a game that keeps things simple. You drop coins, you build walls, you ride left then right. And somehow, that's enough to create an entire strategy game, and a decade-long series. From a small flash game on Newgrounds to a multi-platform franchise, Kingdom has grown far beyond its roots. It found the formula for success and stuck with it, with a focus on atmosphere, trial and error, and the constant quiet pressure to keep your crown. But it's also known that every kingdom has its beginning somewhere. This is the reign of Kingdom 2 Crowns. Hi, I'm Patch, Community Ambassador for Kingdom, and in today's episode we're stepping back to look forward. Kingdom has been around for over a decade now, and throughout all of 2025 we are celebrating just that. What started as a simple flash game has grown into a global indie icon, with new mechanics, new settings, new players, but still the same core idea. Today, we're looking back at how Kingdom evolved, the lessons it's carried forward, and how it's managed to stay so uniquely itself. We'll be hearing from the developers to get their perspective on how it all came together, and dig into why it continues to resonate with players all over the world.
So my name is Angelica. I am the creative director.
My name is Daria Driver, and I'm a senior community manager here at Rulerversary, primarily on Kingdom.
I'm Domagoy, and I've been a developer on Kingdom since 2021.
Hi, I'm Pontus, and I'm brand manager here at Rulerversary.
My name is Elizabeth, and I am a producer on Kingdom.
My name is Gordon Van Dyke. I co-founded Raw Fury with Jonas and then David Martinez.
I'm Alan Kurtz. I've been working with Gordon over the past. I've known Gordon for about 20 years. And so when he started off with the Raw Fury and Kingdom stuff, I had been talking to him about it, and he'd been trying to get me involved.
My name is Niklas. I work as part executive producer, but also product manager for Kingdom.
My name is Tomislav Gojevic, and I'm the head of Fury Studios.
Hi, my name is Valentina. I work as a pixel artist on Kingdom.
I'm Bradley Elliott. I'm an animator and character designer on the Kingdom games.
I'm Vladimir, and I've been working as a programmer on Kingdom 2 Crowns and occasionally New Lands for the last 6 years.
My name is Jonas. I'm the founder of Raw Fury, and I'm sitting here with Thomas, who is not just the creator, inventor, developer of Kingdom, the original Kingdom, but also a very big catalyst in Raw Fury actually existing.
And the other way around. Raw Fury has been a very big catalyst into me going into games commercially or like professionally.
Let's get into it.
So my name is Thomas. I guess originally I started the Kingdom series, the Kingdom game. It started a long time ago with me making a Flash game. Of course, for me, the history starts a bit earlier, working on this little Flash game that then turned into something so big. It's kind of nostalgic for me as well, being here now and thinking back of like 15 years ago, I was learning pixel art, drawing a little horse, drawing a little world with the grassy land to ride on, and here we are now.
Released in 2013 by Thomas Vanderberg, known online as Noyo, the first version of Kingdom was almost aggressively simple. You were a lone monarch on a horse. You had a few coins in your pouch, and you rode left and right across a 2D landscape, dropping coins into the hands of strangers who'd turn into archers or builders. That was it. The game didn't explain itself other than a few simple sentences, and it seems that was enough. The tension came from the unknown. Why were those creatures coming at night? What did they want? Why does everything feel like it's one bad decision from falling apart? It was trial and error as philosophy. Players would spend their first few runs failing spectacularly, and then go right back in for another run. Every coin dropped was a decision. Every structure built was a risk. And while the mechanics were minimal, the stakes felt enormous, because your progress could unravel so quickly, and the game never held your hand while it happened. There was no combat button, no pause to plan. Your only tool was time. It was one of those rare early indies that trusted players completely, and that trust paid off. Within the first 3 days, it had already gotten nearly 25,000 views on Newgrounds. Within months, it built a small but loyal fanbase on sites like Newgrounds and Congregate, where players traded theories about how the systems worked because there was no official documentation, just mystery and momentum. Even then, you could feel it, the bones of something much bigger. The Flash version wasn't just a prototype. It was Kingdom, just smaller, rougher, but entirely itself.
If someone would have told me before playing the Flash game, before meeting you, that you could make this deep of an experience using 3 buttons on a keyboard, I would have just gone like, no, what do you mean?
And now I'm looking for, are there any additional buttons on this controller? Because I need I
need a couple of new buttons.
I need a couple of new buttons just for all, and Kingdom had 3 buttons, and it's great.
And it turns out that's all you need to be a very deep, strategic, thoughtful experience.
Yeah, exactly.
You go left, you go right, and you drop points.
You drop points. Yeah, it's great. I mean, that's, like I said, it's nostalgic for me thinking back of it. Like, you also can't really replicate it because you can't just make the same thing.
That early success set the stage for something more ambitious. Players wanted more depth, more variety, but not at the cost of what made the game special. And in 2015, they got their wish with the first standalone release, Kingdom Classic. Kingdom took its first real step forward out of the browser and onto Steam with the release of Kingdom Classic. Built on the foundation of the original Flash version, Classic didn't rewrite the game, but it definitely refined it. The art got an upgrade, the UI was cleaner, and the whole experience felt smoother. But it still didn't explain itself. You were still dropped into a quiet world with minimal instructions. What it gave you instead was space. Space to learn by doing, space to fail without being punished for it, and space to fall in love with how much the game trusted you. It was a minimalist strategy game at a time when the genre was still obsessed with buttons and build orders. Kingdom Classic became a cult hit almost immediately. Not massive, but enough to make itself known. It was the first time the game reached a wider audience beyond the Flash crowd, and that visibility was enhanced further with Kingdom's newly created publisher, Raw Fury, an indie publisher known today for championing creative, offbeat titles that don't fit neatly into genre boxes. Raw Fury saw the potential in Kingdom immediately.
For Kingdom, Thomas, that was his first game, proper game that he was making. And I was the producer for that game. We had 2 games at that time, and 2015. I really got into it, and we had a similar design philosophy, just inherently, instinctively. And because I had made and released a lot of games, he asked me to actually come on and help with the balance and flow of the games, because he had about tonight 6 or 7 really fleshed out. But beyond that, he really wanted kind of my experience to help kind of fill that out. And one of the things I really wanted was some kind of ending scenario, and everything was to the wire. And we actually got that working about a day before release, and then pushed the build like a few hours after some quick, we had no QA, we were just testing ourselves, and we just pushed that build out. And that's what led to the initial success. It was incredible, incredibly stressful and really incredible. And we released it the day before my son's first birthday. So quite a wild ride.
With Raw Fury's backing, Kingdom started evolving into something larger. A series that could grow, iterate, and take risks, while still protecting the unique tone and vision at its core. The result of that collaboration? A version of Kingdom that could grow, travel, and survive across new lands. Kingdom New Lands took the quiet strategy of Classic and expanded it into a proper campaign. This time, you weren't just surviving, you were moving forward. Instead of building up a single settlement until it collapsed, New Lands let you escape If you could build the ship, if you could survive long enough, you could sail away onto a new island, a new map, a new start. But your past decisions followed you. Your pouch didn't reset, your mount stayed the same, your knowledge, or lack of it, mattered more than ever. And that alone changed the tone of the game completely. Suddenly, Kingdom wasn't just about one perfect run. It was about stringing together a series of near disasters and salvaging just enough to keep going. It introduced seasons, which meant winter could bring your economy to a complete halt. Farms became critical, deer were harder to hunt, and building out too far too fast became a death sentence. New mounts were added, each with their own quirks and abilities. The stag could charm deer, the warhorse could rally troops, and for the first time, players started thinking about loadouts, strategy. But crucially, none of this came at the cost of the game's identity. There was still no expansive tutorials, just a world that responded to your actions. New Lands also marked the series' debut on consoles, launching on Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, and later PlayStation 4. This was a big deal at the time. It proved that Kingdom wasn't just a clever PC indie title. It was a game that could scale visually and mechanically to new platforms without losing its charm. The minimalist interface and side-scrolling controls translated beautifully to a controller. And on handheld systems like the Switch, it just made perfect sense. This was a game you could play on the go. A quiet pixel art strategy title that held its own. For a lot of players, New Lands on console was their first exposure to the series, and it made a strong impression.
So New Lands came about from this kind of funny conversation that Thomas and I had, and he wasn't completely happy with that version that we released, nor was I. And from that, I was talking, and Thomas and I talked about a lot of different ideas on what we could add, what we could do. One of the features that came post-launch before that was portals, because a friend of his complained that it took too long to travel around the map. So Thomas came up with the idea for the portals. And I said, we should have some kind of I was like, don't take the game as verbatim for the example, but just hear me out. I was like, Call of Duty had prestige mode, right? So it's once you've kind of completed things, you could kind of go again and kind of do things again. But, for this prestige scenario, I was like, we should kind of do something kind of like that, but not that, but kind of like that. And this was, the genius of Thomas was that he took that and came up with the ship and the boat, which you wouldn't even think are connected, right? You wouldn't just, when you think about Kingdom, think that an idea just kind of as an example, purely for example's sake, came from a game like Call of Duty and had some kind of impact on Kingdom. And then helped kind of create that core base loop for Kingdom New Lands, which was a bigger macro loop on the gameplay. The gameplay stayed the same, but it was going to a new location to kind of rinse, wash, repeat. We also added winter because it felt like in Kingdom you could go into a slow grind to lose your crown. And we wanted to kind of speed that up, but it still wasn't fast enough. And we got a lot of complaints about winter, but I think it was a good thing to add, but people were quite frustrated with it. But they loved the ship building. And so I put a lot of effort into the flow of those things, what things you find on which location, because we took the statues, we added more, we added different kinds of steeds. Before it was just a different kind of horse, so different color with some slightly different stats to them. And Thomas had promised in a Kickstarter video, they didn't do the Kickstarter, so they returned all the money. But on the Kickstarter video, they had a unicorn that pooped coins. And Thomas wasn't going to put it in. I was like, you have to put this in. There's one thing that I'm going to be so diligently fight for. It's going to be the unicorn that poops coins. I thought it was so funny. And I think it's fun to kind of have these kind of things that are just have a little slight sense of humor, but also something that people just love. Is who doesn't want coins in Kingdom?
I feel like New Lands is the real definitive version, that's the game that I'm really satisfied with. I think New Lands is as close to perfect as it gets. And the funny thing is that some players kind of enjoyed Kingdom Classic. And of course, Refuge is a publisher. They're like, if players enjoy it, we should give it to them. And I kind of resisted that thought. I didn't really want Kingdom Classic to be out there. I lobbied against it. I said, no, New Lands is the definitive game. That's the game as it should be. Kingdom Classic is kind of weird and incomplete and buggy, and I don't think it should be out there. But, in the end, it's up to you guys.
New Lands proved that Kingdom could grow without bloating, that it could introduce complexity without noise. It was bigger, yes, but it was still Kingdom, still quiet, still tense, still utterly enchanting. And for the first time, players started seeing something else too. Updates. New Lands received several small additions after launch, some seasonal, some mechanical. A Halloween update added haunted visuals, new ambient effects, and more. These updates weren't huge expansions, but they helped cement the idea that Kingdom could change and evolve over time without losing its core identity. Every new tweak brought more curiosity, more mystery, and behind the scenes, bigger plans were already underway. Plans for a new version of Kingdom, one with persistent progress, multiplayer, and enough content to support a world, not just a map. Double the ambition, double the crowns. In 2018, with the release of Kingdom 2 Crowns, the Kingdom franchise introduced significant changes, not in style or tone, but in something more fundamental, such as the co-op multiplayer. For the first time, you didn't have to ride alone. Now, you could rule side by side with a friend on the couch, or a friend online. 2 Crowns was still Kingdom, but with the ambition and tools to realize it. It added checkpoints. You could reclaim fallen lands, progress across islands without losing everything. It gave the game a persistent campaign, a world that could be shaped over time, not just rebuilt from scratch with each failure. And more importantly, it introduced collaboration. 2 Monarchs meant twice the strategy, twice the mobility, and let's be honest, twice the chaos if you're not communicating. The Challenge Islands introduced challenges which allowed the players to switch their focus from the usual strategies and come up with new ideas and approaches. These themed challenges tested the skills of even the most experienced players. There were also new mounts, new units, and new surprises hidden deep in the islands. But for all its additions, 2 Crowns stayed loyal to the series' roots. It was still about decisions, still about timing. It didn't reinvent Kingdom, it just opened the doors a little bit wider. Once 2 Crowns launched, the question wasn't whether Kingdom could expand, it was how far it could go. The answer came through DLCs and new biomes, each one reshaping the game's world, lore, and style, while keeping its mechanical soul intact. The first one was included with the base game at launch, Shogun, a Japanese-themed variant that introduced samurai lords, dense bamboo forests, and the masters of stealth, the ninja. They would hide behind trees at night, providing an advantage against the incoming waves of greed. Then came the unexpected, Deadlands, a gothic horror-themed DLC. It did more than just change the setting of the world. It added playable monarchs with active abilities, grave-spawning enemies, an environment soaked in decay and dread. And somehow, it still felt like Kingdom. Then came the most expansive update yet, Norselands, released in 2021. In this new DLC, elks replaced deer, berserkers appeared alongside standard soldiers. There were now seasonal gods that responded to your offerings. New weapons meant that you could call down storms and invoke divine blessings in battle without ever breaking the minimal UI or losing that pixel-perfect tension. Weapons such as Loki's staff, which would allow you to transform into one of your followers, or even one of the greed. These additions, along with many more, provided players with a true feast of new ways to play.
I think the most exciting thing about Northlands was really doing the Viking and the Nordics. Like, that's where we come from. I'm Swedish, so of course I'm biased towards the Vikings. But I know that that's something that a lot of players have asked for as well. They wanted to go, for some reason, to the freezing cold up in the Nordics. But we had so much fun creating not just the abilities, because we introduced abilities in Deadlands, but then in Northlands we just took them way further and made so many fun and cool things that you could do as a player, not just like boost your troops and make damage. You could also use the Loki staff to turn into anything, basically. You could turn into a citizen, you can turn into a greedling, you can turn into anything. You can even, you can do so much. And I love seeing players play around with these weird abilities and figure out ways to use them that maybe even we didn't think about. So I think that taking the abilities to the next step was a really cool thing that we explored with Northlands. But also, of course, the setting and the music and everything was just on point for that Viking era.
There's like a unit in Northlands who flips his hair. And he does like this. And that's my favorite. Like, when I have it, I think it's a squire. I just have to stand there and look at him. I don't know. There's so much personality in those little pixels, and that I really, really love.
3 years later, another Kingdom expansion, Call of Olympus, would come with much more to offer to Kingdom 2 Crowns. But before exploring the lands of ancient Greece, Kingdom had another destination in mind. Enter Kingdom 80s, a standalone spin-off with all the signature mechanics but a totally different vibe. Inspired by 80s movies and synth soundtracks, 80s reimagined the Kingdom magic in a world of neon-lit nostalgia. It is Kingdom by way of Spielberg movies and synthwave playlists. And it kind of rules. It even included something else for the very first time. A story. Instead of a monarch, you play as the leader, protecting your hometown from strange creatures emerging from the woods. You are bestowed the crown of creation and the knowledge that you are descended from the monarchs of old, who time and time again defeated the greed. With this timeless artifact, that fight is now yours, but you won't defend your kingdom alone. You can unlock 3 hero characters, each with a unique ability to help you on your quest. Build up your base with arcade cabinets and soda machines, and fight off the greed using BMX bikes and sheer retro optimism. You still ride left and right. You still spend coins to build, recruit, and defend. You still lose when your crown gets snatched by the greed. 80s didn't reinvent the franchise, but it showed something else. That the heart of Kingdom isn't tied to swords and castles. It's in the gameplay and the atmosphere, and those work anywhere, even on a skateboard.
I think that bringing narrative to Kingdom 80s was the biggest challenge for that game. We took few steps into broadening the world and the lore of Kingdom and the greed and the crown, and seeing kind of where does this take us? Can we put it in a different time era that is closer to ours and still have it feel Kingdom? It was a good time of experimentation and trying to feel out, like, what is Kingdom at this stage? Does it work for us?
So there's a few things in Kingdom that I find really, really funny. One of them is the kid who in Kingdom 80s works as a lifeguard, and he's not very tall. So he's just like lays down back on the chair and just kicks his leg in the air. And that's just the cutest little kid thing I've ever seen. And that is such a great animation.
I think one of the nice things about Kingdom and Kingdom and its community is that the voices that came out of trying something different pushed Kingdom in a slightly new direction. The Kingdom community was kind enough to provide us the feedback that they thought this was still felt Kingdom, and this still really felt good. And that's a big driving factor for us to make sure that we're riding that balance between growing and building the game out and adding mechanics and interactions, but always making sure that those have that sense of exploration and that frictionless feel that is an authentic part of the core Kingdom experience.
But despite a sidestep into a more recognizable setting, Kingdom 2 Crowns wasn't done evolving. Its next expansion would prove to be the biggest and boldest one yet. Call of Olympus was more than just another biome. It was the most ambitious mechanical evolution of Kingdom 2 Crowns to date. Set in a world shaped by ancient Greek mythology, the expansion introduced new gameplay systems, deeper strategic layers, and a sense of divine scale that shifted how players interacted with the map. At the heart of it were the gods themselves. In addition to other mechanics, players could now also build temples to specific deities, each offering distinct powers or blessings when properly honored. It turned your resource management into something more philosophical. Not just where do I build next, but which god do I need to survive this night? And the greed evolved too, both visually and tactically. New variants, new pressures. It reimagined the Kingdom campaign as a thematic choice. For the first time, you weren't just reacting to the world, you were shaping it with intent. And all of it, every mechanic, every system was still delivered through the same silent, side-scrolling simplicity. Call of Olympus didn't over-explain itself, because it didn't need to. It trusted you to learn by playing, just like the series always has. For long-time players, it was a culmination of a decade of Kingdom. For new players, it was a surprisingly intuitive on-ramp to a much deeper game than they expected. And for the team behind it, it was proof that the Kingdom formula still had room to grow.
So when the time came to start working on a new DLC for Kingdom 2 Crowns, I got the chance to step into those shoes and just figure out what should it feel like, what should it be, and where are we going? And we quite quickly settled on ancient Greece, mostly because of all the stories that people know that we could tell in that mythological environment. So I was really excited about exploring all these gods and myths and kind of weaving those stories together with our own Greek mythology, because we never do a copy of another mythology. We figure out a way to marry it together with our own story of the world of Kingdom and the story of the greed.
When we were thinking of our plans about Call of Olympus, about how we are going to approach this from the community and marketing perspective, we found that we had a pretty interesting and unique challenge, because Kingdom 2 Crowns, the original game, at that time would have been quite a few years old. And of course, we understood that there were a couple of games, to put it lightly, many games that have released in the games market within that time. What we were trying to do is to find a way of how we could smoothly come back to Kingdom 2 Crowns. Not even come back, but rather re-highlight it, but then also create a plan, a strategy of how we could rekindle this spirit of interest, this exploration in our community towards Kingdom 2 Crowns. What we were trying to do is pretty clear now. And the way we went about it is that we started highlighting various aspects of Kingdom 2 Crowns. We started getting feedback from people saying that I tried this game after so many years and it still feels amazing and it still feels so addictive, and I really want to give this another try. I actually really missed this experience. And this was a good sign to us that people are still with the game in their hearts.
I think a moment that really gave me, this is something special, was during the Call of Olympus campaign, when we set out to really take the players in the community onto a journey, and kind of like, we called it internally an odyssey. And we kicked it all off by doing a tease at an event called Indie Media Exchange, and just seeing the fact that so many players in the chats could instantly recognize that it was about Kingdom and it was about Kingdom 2 Crowns was really cool, because we hadn't kind of like spoiled it, or we didn't give it away that it was something that we were about to do. And then throughout kind of our build-up and before the launch of Call of Olympus, we did a bunch of different things, both in the marketing campaign, but also around the game itself. We restructured kind of the gameplay to be a little bit more on you choose your own adventure, so to speak. And we kind of incorporated a lot of that into the way we made the various kind of reveals for the players. And another one of those where our boss reveal when we reveal the serpent to the community. And I think a lot of players did not expect that something of that sort would be arriving in Call of Olympus.
The design was being kind of fleshed out throughout development, which was good because, we wanted to test out a few things to see what's working, what's not working, and, what it was always like a thing that we're looking for. Is it fun for the players? Is it fun for us as people working on the game and players of the game? And that uncertainty translated into not really being able to plan the whole schedule of development properly and fully in detail, which then kind of ended up into us trying to really do all these things that we wanted to do and pack them up in a nice thing for the players so that everybody's happy. And that kind of cost us more time than we wanted to spend. But in the end, it was worth it because when Call of Olympus went out, the player reception and our general reception and kind of how we looked at the game was like, wow, we're really proud of what we made.
Call of Olympus was in every way a bigger expansion to the game than any other expansion before it. In fact, I'd say in complexity, it would end up being more work than multiple previous expansions together. We were redoing the save system so we don't limit the player to only 3 save slots. We redid the networking implementation for online multiplayer. We added a quest system where you could non-linearly finish quests and hop between islands. We redid the Xbox version of the game from scratch, and we created a Windows Store version as well, which we didn't have before. We added puzzles for mounts, tons of new VFX, support for battle in the water, multiple ships in the water, and even a boss battle sequence. And it was actually kind of crazy endeavor altogether, especially since we were building on top of a live game that had a big player base. So we needed to be cognizant of players upgrading to this. I think it was all worth the effort, and I think our community recognized how much we packed into one DLC.
Call of Olympus in particular was challenging as it not only introduced new mechanics to the game, but also changed the already established ones. We never had non-linear progression on the islands, and now we do. We never had more than one boat, and now we do. And they engage in combat. We never had elaborate quests with hints, and so on. That's what really made Call of Olympus challenging to develop.
Call of Olympus was the first time that I've ever experienced someone making fan art about a thing that I created. And it was like fascinating. That made me cry.
Yeah.
Just some kids' art making snakes. And man, it was so wonderful to see. Yes.
Yes. That was really amazing. We actually had the most fan art out of those, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that was really cool to see. Yeah.
The dance when you get the big apple, the golden apple, that's my favorite thing in the whole game because it makes you so happy. Everyone is so happy, and then everything turns sour. Yes. Yeah. Just before that that's kind of one of my favorite moments. And it was that was also one thing that we play tested quite to a good degree to make it feel like it wasn't unfair to players when they actually picked it. Because you need to pick the apple, right? You need to pick it. It's just that you don't know what's happening and how to convey that something bad is happening, not making players feel like they're cheated or something like that. That was a little bit of a challenge and back and forth on how to do that. But favorite moment? Yeah, the dance when the apple is golden and stuff like that. Yeah, that is my favorite moment.
Personally, I enjoy Call of Olympus a lot. I feel like the art team took that DLC to the next level. I can just pause and marvel at a sunrise in Call of Olympus and take a screenshot of it. Even though I've taken lots of screenshots of it before, I'm still like, this is beautiful. The experiences that you get when you're out in nature. It's the same kind of feeling. I just have to stop and appreciate this. And Call of Olympus does that so well.
Each of these expansions brought something new, not just visually, but mechanically. It was Kingdom through a different lens, cultural, mythological, supernatural, and players embraced the variety. Kingdom Two Crowns has become a flagship title, and the one many players know the franchise from. We've made 2 more videos on Kingdom Two Crowns already, and if you haven't seen them yet, check out the links in the description below. 10 years in, Kingdom is still evolving, still experimenting, still refusing to break what made it work in the first place. So what is the secret? How does a game this quiet, this minimalistic stay relevant for an entire decade? Many biomes, dozens of mounts, thousands of lost crowns. And it all started with a single coin. The Kingdom series has always done more with less. It built an empire out of pixels and patience. It told stories without words. It let us fail and trusted us to try again. Across every version and expansion, one thing has never changed. The idea. Whether it's a medieval outpost, a haunted ruin, or a mountaintop temple, Kingdom invites you to build something, to protect it, to learn from it. And the beauty is, you never truly master it. Even now, a decade later, the series still finds new ways to evolve, and somehow makes you feel like a genius every time you remember to rebuild your outer wall before dusk. I still forget to do that. With Call of Olympus, Royal Wardrobes, Olympian Trials, the 10th Rulerversary, all released within just the past year, the crown feels heavier than ever, but also the most powerful. And where does it go next? That's the exciting part, because whether it's a new expansion, a new setting, or a brand new game, the Kingdom series has earned something not every game achieves: the right to keep growing. It'll be fascinating to see where it ends up another 10 years from now.
I'm honestly just fascinated with what kind of stuff we are cooking, I believe, and what kind of things await Kingdom in future.
I think it's safe to say it will get only bigger and more ambitious. There'll be more content for the players to play through, and more fun experience to be had, and possibly more different settings, more different units, more strategy thrown into the pot, and so on. I think we have a lot of cool things in store for the players.
What we are trying to do now is to really incorporate a lot of the feedback that we have got throughout the years of stuff that, the players and the community have asked for, that have kind of like stumbled into the experience, and we're now addressing with the quality of life updates that we are doing. And I think what's really cool with allowing us to kind of address more and more of that is that it helps us come back to polish that original gameplay experience that everyone kind of got hooked on from before, and kind of what kind of brought everyone into Kingdom from the start.
I can with confidence say that Kingdom has a bright future ahead of itself, and we will have more to keep our Monarchs excited for a good long while.
Future of Kingdom is, I think, going to be super fun. I'm not sure I can share more details, but we are preparing a lot of good things for the players, a lot of fun things. And I think really that's going to happen. It will be something great that we're going to deliver to the players, especially since we are the players ourselves. We're not looking at this like, okay, what would the players like? We are the players, what would we like? And that's what we're trying to really do all the time. And that's why we are focused on like testing out things, trying out things, and really trying to get to the best possible version of Kingdom. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to get there in the future. So stay tuned with that.
Feel like as long as Kingdom sticks to the core of strategy and atmosphere, we're on the right track. I think that that's such an important essence of the game that we should never ever let go of or lose sight of, because Kingdom is a feeling, and regardless of what you add, you need to keep that feeling intact.
I think that Kingdom needs to be a very atmospheric and immersive game, right? And if you take that away, there's not Kingdom any longer. It needs to be minimalistic, very few inputs on what you can do, which then is a challenge for our designers and stuff like that, because it puts some kind of limitation on what you can do with gameplay and stuff like that, because there are not so much you can do with just 2 buttons basically, or 3 buttons. essentially, right? And we don't want to expand on that because at its core, this is Kingdom. At the same time, we would like to make a kind of bombastic experience. So very few inputs, very minimalistic side or take on things, while being really, really bombastic experience. How do you pull that off? That is the future of Kingdom, I think. Finding the sweet spot. But I think there are a lot of things that we still can do also with the retro or the pixel art style. We have, our artists have really pushed the boundaries for what you can do with pixel art and stuff like that. And I know from a fact that we can push it even further. I've seen it happening. So I'm really, really excited for showing that off to players eventually, right? Okay, so see what we can do.
I really would like us to grow this genre. And for me, growing the genre so that if you have other games that bring players in because they're interested in that, that's how you grow your fan base. One game cannot grow beyond a certain point. So I think it's important for us to also kind of expand this kind of genre or whatever you want to call it, because it's so Frankenstein. It's hard to kind of cultivate it into one thing. But you're starting to see finally some people that are teams that are actually coming up with stuff that doesn't feel, no disrespect, but doesn't feel as cloney. And I really appreciate those because that's the biggest kind of success marker, is where you can help build something that extends beyond just the experiences that you're creating. And it's bringing more variety to that, and you start expanding that player base so that people are discovering your game maybe through a similar game, whereas right now most people would discover it through Kingdom only, and you limit your possibilities. So I would love to see other teams also bringing and building this genre with us so that we're building this into something where there's more choices and a lot of cool things for people to play, and that we all build this and succeed together.
I think that when we look at the future of the Kingdom franchise, there's been some really good feedback on both what players like and what players are maybe a little bit less interested in, to put it nicely. And I think there's that exploratory lore element. And I think Angelica, our creative director on Olympus, did a really good job of never kind of putting the player's nose in it, rubbing their nose in the lore, but it's there, it's tied to things. You can see it, and that kind of underground storytelling background, building the world out more than leading you through a story, is probably a direction that I would like to continue to go, where we have an idea of what Kingdom is, we have an idea and a lore book and a background and a philosophy of what it is, and we benefit really well from not specifically telling that to players, but rather referencing it. And I think that helps players inject themselves into that world, offering different kinds of characters to play and different ways and abilities. Those are the things that I think are gonna offer the most, and stay true to that Zen experience of left, right, build, night, day, waves, threats, and then moving from there into other islands or other experiences, other challenges. So I think it's about keeping us really true to that core Zen mechanic and adding ways for players to explore what the world of Kingdom is, and then letting players get their hands dirty with a bit more building and a bit more diversity of choice in tactics, but not in a way that we add a bunch of complexity and buttons, in a new way, in a fresh way that we are still exploring with the Kingdom franchise.
What do you think the future of Kingdom is like?
Bigger.
More crowns?
3 crowns?
3 crowns?
4 crowns?
Crown on a greed.
Crown on a greed.
Does greed finally deserves a crown? Maybe do they deserve a really fancy golden one?
I hope so.
Yeah. Should we make an elaborate, really a big crown? Maybe a crown on the mount. Just a crown on the mount.
Just a crown.
Just a crown riding.
Like a mimic?
Horse. Sure.
A greed mimic.
Yes. Let's do it.
What about the horse wearing the crown?
We think you're onto something now.
No ruler. The horse is the ruler.
Yes.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
So the future is goofier.
The future is goofy.
I want a ruler on a unicycle. That would be so fun.
That would be cool. That would be cool.
We should have had one in the 80s.
That's a shame we did.
Missed opportunity.
Yes. Maybe we should make a Victorian era Kingdom.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Everybody wearing the monocle and top hat.
I like it.
I think it's great. I also think that's the exact reason why Raw Fury is making these games. Because like I said before, I thought that what we did on Newlands was as close to perfect as it gets. And I think I would have been too stubbornly holding on to that kind of like purity. And I think it's really good that Raw Fury is expanding it, because if you want the purest game, Newlands is still there. But now there's also these other games that do other stuff. And if players are into it, like, you know, it's really great to expand it in that way.
From Flash-based beginnings to Call of Olympus, this series has grown without ever needing to shout. I think that's part of what makes it special. If you've been here since the start, or just now picking up the crown for the first time, I hope this retrospective look at the series has helped you see why Kingdom matters. Thanks for watching this special episode of the Reign of Kingdom 2 Crowns. If you want to keep up to date on all things Kingdom, be sure to follow us on social media and subscribe right here on YouTube. And share your own journey with Kingdom in the comments. All of this would not be possible without you, our dear community. So thank you for staying with us all of these years. We can't wait to hear your side of the story. Thanks again, and as always, till next time, Monarchs.
So we're celebrating 10 years with Kingdom, and I've been here for a little bit more than 6 of those years, which I'm so grateful for because it's been an amazing experience. And I can't wait to see where we are going next. And I can't wait to share it with the players because I know that they're going to be very, very excited when we're able to tell a little bit more on what we're working on. But I can't help but feel so grateful for all the players who just have been here and shared their thoughts and feedback and just excitement. And seeing them play is still my favorite thing. Just see people be curious and have fun and connect over, you know, being a monarch and dropping those coins and fighting off the greed, keeping your kingdom safe. Those key things that make up Kingdom. And I think as a player myself, I love Kingdom. I love playing Kingdom, and I still do. I feel this connection to all our players, and I'm just really happy that I get to do what I do.